put us a little snippet about what was coming up next. And so you're like, yay, that's cool. But yeah, I think it was cool that they decided to stick with the Mandarin for Iron Man 3. Like, talking about a racial stereotype, that is quite the awful character to portray on TV. But they kind of, separated him into two separate people and entities, made him a farce of himself. So it wasn't awful, because it could have been awful. But in general, I didn't like him. I didn't like Pepper Potts, like, being this awkward superhero at the end of Iron Man 3. I recently saw Iron Man 3 on TV, so that's how I remember that one a little bit better. But, and again, I say on TV because it's like, I wouldn't choose to put that into my Blu-ray player. Like, no. No, it is not, like, they're not relevant anymore to me since the Avengers came. And it's like, okay, these are the stories that, this is the movie I will repeat because it was good. But those movies I watched because they were a ladder to get there.
Do you think one of the problems when it comes to Marvel is the fact that when it comes to certain solo movies, they rely on some of the backup characters as well? Like, one example could be that Captain America Civil War. Yes, it was basically more of a Captain America movie, but the fact that they had a lot of the Avengers involved in there as well, it made the movie that much better, really. Is that an issue with Marvel where they just really have a problem having a solid, firm belief in their main characters that they're portraying, that they have to bring in a lot of these well-known support characters?
That's a really good point to bring up. I agree, yeah. I don't know if they trust their characters enough to have them stand alone like they originally did. Because I don't know if it's like society being like, now we need them all together, we want more superheroes, because obviously people do want that. That's why I'm like, X-Men should freaking explode. It's a team of superheroes. Everybody wants a team now. Like the boy band. We want a superhero boy band. But I agree with what you're saying. I think that they don't do as well unless they throw in another main superhero, like how in Spider-Man Homecoming. Iron Man was a big part of that movie. And I liked it. I really did. I liked that he was a big part of that movie. It made it less of a movie, and I guess kind of like I was saying, it was more of like leading into another storyline. And I think that's what they're trying to do by doing that is everyone is connected, everything is connected. This isn't a movie, it's an experience. It's a whole or not a trilogy, because obviously there's more than 3, but it's a whole series that they want you to embark on and be a part of and keep spending money. But no, I think that Marvel really does rely on using that teamwork aspect, and people almost expect it. I guess maybe that's why some of those 2 and 3s that didn't have the supporting other superhero doesn't do as well.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, DC hasn't really done that until they were like, oh crap, Marvel's doing really well by putting all their superheroes all together. Man, maybe we should do that. Yeah, our superheroes are pretty epic. We should probably do that. Like, yeah, you should probably do that, but now they're rushing it, so we don't know. I don't know if that'll do well, but...
Right. Well, I think, kind of countering the point when it came to Spider-Man Homecoming, yes, Iron Man was a pretty important role in the movie, but I think also at the same time, Spider-Man is definitely one of those guys who is a well-known name to where I think the way that movie was portrayed was that they could somehow still either relate to Spider-Man or they could actually kind of feel for Peter Parker, where, he's basically, like almost everybody that sees that, especially adults, they could say, I have a kid who's almost exactly like Peter Parker, where he's just, He's trying to learn how to, become a man. He's learning how to, get by in life. And I think the important scene where I think that makes Spider-Man stand above so many of the other superheroes is that scene during his battle with Vulture, where he's basically under the pile of rubble, and he's basically looking at and just seeing the puddle where like it's half of his face and half the Spider-Man face. And yes, Tony Stark's words of if you think that you need the suit, then you don't even deserve the suit. That really does play a little bit of a prominent role, but at the same time, it's more just Peter Parker finding again that self-belief in himself where he can just say this suit it helps, but it's the person inside that really makes the difference. And of course that helps him in the end because hey, he defeats Vulture. And let me just say this as a fact, it's one of the few times in Marvel movies where we actually see the villain survive. A lot of other Marvel movies, the villain dies off, and then it's just kind of like, well, now what? Like, the first three Spider-Man trilogy, they killed off the Green Goblin, they killed off Doc Ock, they killed off Venom, and then, Harry Osborn was gone. It's kind of like, well, where are they going to go from there? I mean, they killed off about 3 of their most basic villains, so it's like, where else do you kind of go from there? At least with Spider-Man, as well as, I want to say, well, no, I can't say Captain America because they had the Red Skull guy in the first one. He died off. Bucky appeared in the second one, and now he's a part of the Avengers. And the third one, Civil War, just was a fight amongst themselves. Yeah, I think that's another problem, is that without having a basic villain involved, or just, killing off all these villains, you're basically dwindling down your possibilities of having more sequels and more movies, which is why I'm thinking, Spider-Man Homecoming, hey, it's one of the best Marvel movies that we've seen in a while, because they have that deal where, hey, Vulture's still alive, there's a good chance we're going to get a Sinister Six movie, but that is another problem with Marvel, is that they kill off their villains way too fast, way too easily, that it does eliminate the fact that there's going to be future sequels.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the big things about DC that people like is people freaking like villains. Like, people like bad guys. They really do. We see this, I see this when I teach young kids about, like, I do superhero classes with them. And it's like, hey, like, let's create our own superhero. And you see, like, a good portion, like, at least a third of the class is like, can we do a villain instead? Can we make ourselves a villain? And I'm like, I mean, I guess, sure. Like, that seems awful, but sure, if you really, really want to be a villain, I guess you could be a villain.
Victory Bell, training the youth of America to be villains.
Right, but people like villains. I mean, when you go to these comic conventions, I think half of the people are dressed up as a villain. It's fun to portray the bad guy. Like, but what Marvel doesn't do is really make people give a flying F about their villains. People don't really care about the villains. They're kind of just there. They're like, oh yeah, please kill them because we don't care. But that's what I loved about Spider-Man Homecoming was they made me like the Vulture. Like, are you kidding? I hated the Vulture and like the cartoon and like the comics. He's such a creepy, weird old man, like ugly, awkward looking. Like, you're like, ew, just throw him in jail. And like, he's not really powerful. Like, you're just like, this guy has wings. Like, what? Okay, just throw him in jail. Nobody cares. But literally, this like portrayal, they did such a good job. I was like, oh, I love Michael Keaton. He does such a good villain. But yeah, I definitely saw some Beetlejuice in there, by the way. But it's okay. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about it. But I loved how they made us fight the villain, and I personally am obsessed with wings. We all know this by now. I'm like, oh man, I want to be the Vulture now. I'm not going to because I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that to myself. But I actually liked the character enough to be like, I would want to be this guy. He was cool. He was a sailor man. They gave him a good story. They tried to build him up. Now, and like you said, they kept him alive. Probably because they also spent a decent amount of time making people kind of like the guy. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Well, you mentioned you're probably not going to do Vulture anytime soon, and I know exactly why. Because the horror stories that you told me about your wing costume with your Magic of the Gathering character are just one of those things where it's like, oh, why do you torture yourself with this kind of deal? It's like, because I'm trying something new, and it's like, yeah, but was it worth it? After my back stopped hurting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm in the process of making wings again, so.
Oh boy, more back pains.
I haven't treated myself enough, so I guess I'm going to try to just give myself more torture. But I just didn't want to do Vulture wings. They're pretty intense.
Just a shout out to all the massage therapists that live in the Chicago area. You're going to expect a lot of business if she's doing more wings. I'm just going to say that right now. And maybe even one chiropractor, but we'll see.
I work for a chiropractor now, so maybe they'll just allow me to get a fix real quick.
You'll get a discounted price, nice little cheap plug maybe. But yeah, going back on the subject, I think the only other issue that I could think of when it comes to Marvel is I think the likability when it comes to Captain America. I've never really been fully on board with Captain America, even after seeing the first Avenger, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. It just kind of one of those things where, yes, he lives kind of by his own rules. He believes in his own justice system. He's just one of those guys that I really have a hard time liking. And I know that he's supposed to be like the patriotic guy. He's supposed to be like the face of America because, geez, he's wearing red, white, and blue, for God's sakes. But his mentality, his personality-wise, it's just one of those things where I'm on Tony Stark's side where he's just like, I just want to punch you in your pretty mouth and knock out every single one of those pretty teeth. It's like, I'd pay to see that, in all honesty. Please, just do it. And I'm not supposed to do that. He's supposed to be the hero. He's supposed to be the guy that I'm rooting for. And half the time it's just like, can somebody just knock this guy out, please? I really don't like him. So, is that really Marvel's character, or is that Marvel's fault, or is that just more my mindset?
I don't know if it's Marvel's fault. It might be kind of like how we were saying about how people like villains and they like mistakes and they like people that have these vulnerabilities that Cap doesn't always show. I think that's I compare Captain America's fan club to the Superman fan club because a lot of people have the same issues with Superman. They're like, he's too morally sound for me to like him. Like, you're like, wow, what kind of crap person are you to say stuff like that? But I guess since they lack faults that most people have, it's hard to connect with them on some level. I mean, like you said, like, he's supposed to be so pro-good, goody two-shoes that it makes you almost like, ugh, like, I'm bored of you. Like, I don't want to be your friend. Like, what? but I see the same thing. I don't necessarily, I'm not the biggest fan.
Well, the problem is I think we just lost connection with her. Yeah, so, but, oh, here. She might be back. Hold on just a minute. Up. Nope, she's not. So, yeah, Marvel. Jeez. We could go on listing on and on, but I think we did a pretty good job of... Oh, here we go.
Oh, sorry. What happened?
I have no idea, in all honesty. I just remember they just got disconnected, and that's about it. Then I just stammered on for a while about how, nothing can go wrong, especially if we're doing this pre-recorded session, so we're totally fine.
Oh, good. Okay, so, like, it didn't happen?
Well, that's just the magic of, me not being able to edit so well, so people are gonna know, but at the same time, it's just one of those things where it's like, these things happen, especially when we're doing it over a phone call, so.
Right.
I think they can forgive us.
Where did I cut out?
I think you cut out at the point where talking about Captain America and how a lot of people do want to still kind of root for the villain. I think that's where we